Alright, what's up? Welcome back to another Play and Explain. Just finished the first part of this video, starting exactly from where we left off, posting the second part. I'm just trying to get enough videos down and enough studying that I can be a little bit hedged. I think if I finally have a little more time, like let's say for the next week of videos might not be as high quality. If I have enough, a little bit more time to get these videos out every day, because I'm trying to post every day for you guys, mainly because I said I kind of would, and that's my plan. So I'm just kind of trying to stick by that. If I find out it's suboptimal for the next couple months, and you guys would prefer every 3 days or something like that, I might just change. But right now my plan is to upload every day because that's my plan. So I'm gonna try and just execute that and see where it goes. So playing three-handed here, which means I'm probably gonna have a lot of spots I could potentially review. Yeah, I would advise it if you're in a three-handed reg battle on GG Poker not to play, but we are recording a video, so. Jack 7 would 3-bet sometimes. I think it does call, though. Opponent should be playing overbet or check mainly on this type of board. Don't like the smaller bet. It doesn't really accomplish too much. But yeah. Out of position, it could accomplish a little bit, as like stopping me from bluffing you off your hand is pretty valuable. But I think the main advantage of your hand is you have ace king, you have all the good ace x. Your opponent does not. Obviously, still the most popular cards in my range are going to be an ace and a king. It's just going to be, you're going to have more of it than me, or like a stronger density of it. I think Jack 8's still a fold here. A little rusty with my pre-flop, but the Jack 7, I don't mind betting it. Especially with the diamond on a 96. You could overbet this type of hand. The issue is we're kind of committed now when a flush comes off. The good news I will say is I really don't expect my opponent to have a flush here for multiple reasons. A, it's a board he's going to be wanting bluffing aggressively. B, it's not a board where he really has a flush with the pair too often. And if he does, it's a 4, and I think he might be more keen on betting it. So I really don't see him having too many check call flushes versus an overbet in this line. So when a flush comes off, we're obviously just going to be barreling to the hills. And we block a lot of his ace jack off potential hands. But yeah. Generally there, though, it's kind of his board. He's going to be playing overbet or check, so he's going to be checking a lot of these middling hands. So it doesn't really make sense for me to open for a weaker strategy. I'm going to have ace jack there. That's going to be good enough. I'm going to have ace 10 there. That's going to be good enough, given that he's going to be check calling a lot of king x and middling ace x. And you want to not just get him away scot-free when he has a middling ace x type hand. You want to really make sure, like, okay, I'm betting to make those hands indifferent. Obviously, if he has traps, he has his traps, but you really want to be attacking the main point of your opponent's calling range with your bet size, right? And making it really hard on them. You want to think about like where majority of his range is going to lie and adjust your sizing kind of around that, if that makes sense. So if he has an easy time folding a lot of portion of his range to a size, and then all the rest can call, then maybe you should size down. Depends on the size of his range, obviously, and stuff like this. One for the call here, could do both. The pot is a little weird to me. He sizes down now. Sure, it's close. It's not a great card. I think in general we're still going to be calling our king's X flush draws. Kind of tempted to fold here, but he didn't go too big. Going to be calling mainly versus size, so I'm going to be calling. Some potential meme showdown if he gives up a hand like Jack 10 with one spade. Yeah, I could see this hand folding. Okay, here I'm just gonna leave next blind because the last time I didn't grim. I didn't whatever, and I want to make sure I'm not grimming on my videos. The issue is when I'm recording, I'm playing too much. I'll size up to half pot here versus the shove. Gonna find the fold here. Gonna be calling. Could do both. I don't mind the raise. To be honest, I'll go with the raise. I will say this spot is reopened a little too. You can do both here. When you raise, you want to go very big. This is kind of one of our best. Oh, that isn't open, by the way. I don't know why I folded. I don't like my time bank here. I do like my suit, because the thing is, I like diamonds doesn't block the Jack X suited that turns. Like a hand like Queen Jack of diamonds can't exist. The clubs block these backdoor hands like King Queen of clubs. Obviously my exact hand. King 10 of clubs. Finds the call, and then I think on the river we're gonna go with the jam here. In this one case, we're gonna hope it works. You block Queen 10, obviously. Usually when I see this tank here, I like to think I'm getting called. Yeah, pretty easy decision from my opponent. I mean, there's pretty much no better hand to bluff catch than that. So we lose a $1,500 pot with the bluff here. Not the best result. Kind of unfortunate. I will say, yeah, I don't mind the bluff though. In general, I'm going to be just calling this. I don't think you ever really need a 4-bet hand like this. Damn, that sucks actually. I'll be looking at that one. I don't mind it. I do think I don't like how I tanked the turn. I think it gave my opponent some kind of idea. But I think we get to river there without a heart. Yeah. Definitely not thrilled to see that, but I'm going to have to be aggressive on that line. When he's not raising, I mean, he likely doesn't have a set at that depth, so he's pretty capped, and he's going to have to call hands like that. Would be going thin for value with hands like aces and stuff. Not that thin, let's be real. But honestly, didn't expect him to. I thought there was a chance he would be folding those hands at a frequency as well, which is obviously great for us. Think about the small bet size here, so I just don't. I think we're just gonna. I'll give up. I really just don't think it's a size that a lot of people would bother doing with a hand that's worse than mine. And we're out of position, so we don't get to realize any improved equity of our hand. Yeah. That guy's just been owning us. He's up like so much versus me. And just random annoying ass hands. It's like he has queen jack here and he gets the bingo of the jack. Or the I think even on a 10 I wouldn't be finding that. So he needs that. He kinda needs that card. Here you can do both. I don't think you need to actually just pure range bet. On the 94, I will say I don't mind the way this hand plays. Without a diamond, I think you need to be a bit cautious, but I don't mind just in general. I think people are under raising this type of spot and not punishing you that much. With the heart, you can be pretty aggressive here on this board. We block like king jack, king 10, some of the better hands. I don't think you can always pick something with equity here when you have such a strong, like we're gonna have so much king x here, and we don't always want to flush draw, right? So I don't mind it. Want a heart, obviously we're gonna be going pretty crazy. I think actually I disagree with this. I think I want an ace here to bluff, to be honest. If I'm choosing a non-flush draw hand, I want an ace. I want to just pick a hand like ace 4, ace 5, and I think that's enough, given how big I'm going. Otherwise you can just start defending everything. It's nice that he folds. I will say for what it's worth, the node I think is overfolded, but yeah. I don't think my hand's probably doing that very much ever, if ever. In general, just other stuff we can be defending here versus that. This is probably going to be, I think my next two videos are going to be both videos I lose inside the video. Could be wrong, but I'm done the math. On this number, I'm going to fold my hand. Easy fold here. That queen jack's hand's so lame, man. Why can't you just fold? I felt like when you face the tank, a lot of people who are like pretty on the nittier end, they usually snap fold their hands when they don't have a call. I'm going to go with the check here with the ace 4. Recording for 9 minutes. At least I have some hands to review. Oh, this hand is probably close, but I don't mind it. It's a limp pot. Just getting out of the way. I feel like he's gonna be pretty aggressive into me. Given that's not necessarily the best texture for me. I can do both here. I would say I'm gonna go with the call. This hand would call, and with the recreationals behind, I'm gonna increase my calling range anyway. Go for the range bet here with this hand. I will say I don't think it's opening, but with the weaker players behind, I don't mind that. Where's the overbet in the delay? I'm going to be calling. Going to go for the 1/3 on the paired board. He checks. I think we have nothing else to do but check our hand here. We can do both here, but on a 17, I guess we'll mainly be calling. Can't see my hand doing it 87% of the time. If I didn't explain, what I use for my RNG software is the higher number, the more aggressive the action. That's how I play. First this size, still going to be just calling. I don't think we have much else to do. I'm going to go for the check back here, and usually going to be able to value bet most rivers. Can do a number of things here. With the diamond, I don't mind betting a little more often. Going to go for the big bet when we bet, though. When he sizes down, I'm going to call. I'm going to chop on most runouts. And we do hit the 2 pair, which is nice. We beat hands like ace jack, ace 10. That might be going a little crazy. Don't mind just bluffing this hand again. Like I said, picking an ace on these dry or king eye boards is usually going to be pretty good. And giving up river. I don't think he has any bluffs here. I mean, he could take jacks or 10s, but I don't know if he will really do that enough. First, this like little weird size. I just don't know how much I believe this line, man. I really don't believe it. I'm going to call here with this size at the price I'm getting. Just has the nuts, so he's just playing like a little bit of a weirdo. I really don't like the way he's playing poker there. Some people are really just like getting paired with their value hands. It's just the way they play. And it's generally people who don't bluff enough. Because they don't see the value and, oh, well, no one ever calls here, so I'll just make sure I have value. I just don't believe him. I don't know, nice hand. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not saying my hand's in theory. I'm just saying he has to be very, very disciplined with the way he plays his hand there. And this makes me maybe a bit exploitable, but he has to check flop with a flush draw, or he has to go thin for value. Check flop with a 7 or a flush draw, or some hand that he wants to check raise. I obviously have flushes in my line. Wow, I can't even win the hand now. This is sick. I guess I'll just check. I don't know how much I like my hand. He just has to be very disciplined with his hand. And I just don't think I believe it. Sucks the river was a 3 there. I kind of wanted to fold my hand. I don't blame it. I think when I'm recording, I play a certain way here. Just like, why are we just betting the weirdo sizings? I don't get it. I mean, it's like no one ever calls if I go big here, but I don't know. I do think it's okay to have a little merge here, maybe of range, but I don't know. If you have the giga nuts there, just go all in. What? Like, I could potentially not rip queens and neo, for example, there, and get away with it. So. I'm gonna be mainly just calling here versus size. It's looking for a bad beat jackpot. Don't think we're getting one here. Double bad suit here, which means we can't really turn a hand that doesn't get bleed. If a spade comes off on the turn here, we can't basically ever draw the absolute nuts. And my opponent's equity will always improve on those cards. For that reason, I don't really want to raise a hand and polarize to just those types of hands. Say I'd rather raise with like, exactly, like now my hand can literally, if I was going to fold a combo of jacks, it would be this one. As we kind of get coolered on some of these cards. So let's say he has ace queen of spades and he's guaranteed going to bluff to the river. I'd probably never win the hand here. Unless I bluff caught him. I don't see him on the jam here. I don't really see how I fold my hand to the sizing though. It's just a little strong. Gonna go for the delayed check. I don't think we win this hand too often, I will be honest. Because I think a lot of his bluffs here will be probably offsuit hands that have one diamond, and those hands are going to follow through. And the hands that do not bluff this river, maybe it's spades. He goes for the jam, and I'm just going to give up. Probably had diamonds. I think I will say I did have a little bit of a sizing read on this guy. I don't know how much I should talk about this in this video, but when he sizes down on this turn, that he's supposed to be betting bigger, it's just kind of a tell of like, okay, I'm going to bluff this, but I don't want it to be too big because if I get jammed on, I don't want him to jam on me. That's kind of the vibe it gave off. Like if he goes 21 bigs, he probably thinks he's getting jammed on. So it was kind of tempting me to jam. I went for the call. The diamond came through, and I decided I was going to call. And I don't think he bluffs the river with a suited hand in the sense of they're usually not the best bluffs on the river. So if I know for a fact he has a suited hand, I'm not protecting myself too much. So I can commit to my read in other ways, which is what I was going to do. I'd say the people who are understudied, they kind of give away their hand with their sizings. They're not thinking, oh, I want to bet this for this sizing. For me, I just think about what's my sizing with my range on this board, and I usually kind of stick to it. For what it's worth, I'm wrong a good amount of the time because I'm not perfect, but yeah, here you're playing over better check with the clubs hand. I'm just gonna check back or check it. Oh yeah. It's very especially this 1/3. It's pretty much you're making like for here, for example, when you bet 1/3, you're not really folding on anything at all that he cares about. You're not making the right portion of his range in different. If he has a gut shot, if he has something, he can still continue. So why not charge him more? Over better check here. I don't mind either. I'll go for the check this time. 150. Most of your king's going to be checking. When he goes for the smaller size, I'm going to be raising him. I don't really buy it too much. Seems to me like it could be some ace-10, ace-8 type hand. And I'll go half pot on the river. I don't know. If he was 10-9 and he found the 1/3, good job. I don't mind also here. A lot of times people size down in these types of spot with their draw ear hands. I don't mind finding a check, but that's mainly an out of position line. I think in an in position line, he's more of the mergey type hand that's not going to bother bluffing river anyway. Maybe the block bet would perform better, but here we can do both. I mean, the issue is it's like, does he really call worse that often? I mean, potentially. It's just a weird line. Maybe I went too thin. Don't really like this line to check an ace 3 times here. I don't think it's a thing. Yeah, I don't think it makes money. I really don't think it makes money. I think my checking range is going to consist of a lot of pairs. It just means you're pretty much never bluffing the spot. Like I said, people who never really bluff, they don't really. It's not really in their habit to value bet because they just don't expect. They kind of have the doppelganger syndrome of thinking their opponents kind of play like them. In the sense that, oh, he kind of knows that I wouldn't have value here. You know what I'm saying? They think they're a little more sauntered than they are. Or they kind of tell that they are. Anyway, I think I'm down like a couple thousand over the course of recording these last 2 videos. Kind of unfortunate. I feel like I'm playing okay. Enough for the content. It's nice to show a couple videos where I lose for you guys though. I don't know how much I lost to, maybe to 3K, maybe less. Because I was up a good amount before that, I think so. On a 100 here, we'll call it. On a 67, it's close. Deeper, I don't mind. I mean, your pocket pairs don't necessarily go up over that much deeper, but yeah. Just gonna be a high frequency block bet turn for us. I mean, he's pretty capped and he checks back, so. Gonna do both on this card. Gonna mainly check it back though. On a 7, I mean, with the recreation, I don't mind flatting this sometimes, but he also does seem to throw that. Going with the smaller size here, the issue is I kind of don't believe him, but at the same time, when he goes with the smaller size here, he's going to have a lot of these clubs with the flush draw. So I would like to raise... Oh my god, I just gave away some notes. Unfortunately, I think they're a bit outdated if anyone's trying to look for them. I haven't taken notes in forever, and they're probably not that good. Here he's supposed to go bigger. I think this is the perfect type of hand that wants to call, though. Gonna go for the 1/3 here. You could probably size up because his range is usually probably weighted to pocket pairs. Just gonna be betting on the double draw type board though. I think I can check and probably makes more money if my opponent bluffs into me. I don't think he's gonna be hero calling a lot of 7x. I could be wrong, but gonna be calling again here, especially since the advantage of having the ace of hearts is your out is clean on the river. The downside is obviously we're blocking some bluffs, but I don't think he's that polarized to everything. Oof. Technically, this is a great river call in theory. In practice, for the recreational sizing up 3 times on this type of board, I'm just gonna let it go. I wish I had my head on to know why this guy's opening pre. When he checks back here, I think this is fine. Yeah. We obviously are behind his queen jack, which might be a middling type of queen x he played. I don't mind the check call. This is a pretty good hand, I will say, to go for a check jam. But yeah. As we block king 10, we need to find something. The issue is that usually you need to find something that actually B75s for value, because usually double bluffing a hand going into it is not what the solver usually chooses to do. It usually turns to some value hand that doesn't necessarily always like calling, is on the fringe of that, and then has good blocker properties and turns that into a jam. And I will say this line is very under 3-bet jammed. So I probably would have found it there. You can definitely polarize here a little more. I'll go with the overbet. Versus a fish, I don't know if it's preferred, but on a 10, for what it's worth, I don't think it's overbetting, but I would say the line is pretty misplayed versus, so I kind of overdo it. You might have to adjust that if people start paying attention too much to my content, but yeah, that's all I have to say for now. Versus smaller sizing with the backup plan with the king of diamonds. I don't mind raising or calling. I'll go with the call this time. I'm going to do a bit of tanking on this turn versus recreational, as it can look like I just hit the queen. So when he checks back river with a hand like pocket sixes, it looks more believable that I hit this card. Gonna just go with the overbet here. Yeah. We'll say versus a reg, maybe you think, I don't know, but I think in general, the overbet just looks like a greedy. Yeah. I think versus recreationals, you just need to drop the self-awareness of playing 2 GTO and just actually focus on it. It's a completely different game, and it's a skill set you should start getting better at right now. As opposed to thinking like, oh, we can't know. I don't think that's necessarily true. In fact, there's like a lot of certain things that are just very consistent, and I have a friend of mine who opened my eyes to that a while back, and I completely changed the way I play versus them. Usually, not completely changed, but go with play a lot more aggressive, do a lot of different type of things, fold a lot more versus certain lines for sure, and it's been paying off great. Ace 3 is going to find the 3-bet here. Is it just me in these videos? I don't have that much value. Am I trolling? I feel like I'm always bluffing. It's insane. Can do both here. Don't mind the check back. Probably gonna check it. He finds the overbet. We're going to call, and we're going to call river. 5-4 already got there. The issue is if he has a hand like 6-5, this hand is an easy jam here. For example, if he has a hand like ace-jack, he could be leveling me and then call the river. But we're just obviously, he's not checking it worse enough. This is obviously 2 pairs going to be a great hand here. Gonna go all in for the Valerie. I think he has a 6 here a lot. I think it's like a hand like 6-5. Makes a lot of sense here. He has a hand with a club. Yeah. I will say for what it's worth, if he has an ace, I think it's the call. I mean, we're going to be bluffing our random hands like any flush draw we called the turn verse. I don't like his turn overbet though. For what it's worth, I don't think it makes the hand any easier to play. Gonna be a lot of overbet or check here. I don't mind the overbet. Here in the spot, I don't know if A9's great. The thing is, I don't know how much higher diamonds he really folds when I bet the size. I don't think he really is supposed to fold an 8. Actually, diamonds type of combo. I'm mainly going to be checking this one out of 47. Definitely going to be checking the higher clubs. Generally, the higher clubs you have, the more you can just start trapping your hand. As we just have showdown with this hand, and we get to have some flushes on our slow played line. Not to mention we block the other flush draws. We would benefit from getting it in fast first. Doing both as this hand. I will say fish usually under 3-bet from the big. Just going to go with the fold here to simplify it. I don't know if this guy's a fish for sure, but I haven't seen him too much in my pool. On a 70, going to go with the open here. Definitely calling here again. It's a great river. This is kind of unfortunate. I don't know how many bluffs my opponent really has here, but I think our hand just has to call. I don't really feel like the spot's bluffed, but I don't know how I fold my hand. Feels like it's just 8s or 6s every time. I want to fold, but I don't think so. I have to be good 33% of the time here. What does he really bluff? The thing is, for what it's worth, I don't know how much he's really betting a 3 on the flop. So he's going to polarize to a set, and we have a queen. As played, we're just calling here. Oh, sick. And this guy's a pretty chill guy. I'm here, don't mind cold flooring it. He's 3-betting the fish. I don't mind just calling. Am I stupid? Probably. Definitely. I think I'm a little biased towards pocket tens because on GG Poker it really hurts to fold them because you can miss out on the bad beat jackpot. I don't know what the actual EV math comes out to, but on stars I will say I think it's okay to just toss them. For example, in a spot where your opponent's likely to have a pair like that, if the board runs out 3 aces, you're gonna make what is it, like 3,000 big blinds or something like this, something crazy. So can do both here. I don't know too much about this guy. I know this hand mainly doesn't mind just 4-bet getting it in. I'll go for the call though, sometimes. The slow play line here. Can call jacks here. The reason why is A, you can turn some extra equity, and B, he has 10s and 9s and might just be range betting. He could have 10s and 9s. In this spot, we double block the king x slow play. I don't know how believable it is in this line. We block some of the main bluffs like ace jack ace queen. I don't know how much people bluff in this spot, but I'm gonna call here. I think I'm calling this. Is he really checking a king? He's not supposed to be checking it. I don't really like his line. It's kind of believable in the sense of people don't really choose to go for the bet check bet bluffs in those types of spots. But in general, like I think ace king should be just pure betting turn there. And hopefully his 10s or 9-8. Sick. Oh yeah, that's my thought process. And let's keep him honest. I mean, yeah, we're not checking back a king too much on the turn. When he kind of, we'll check back a good amount, but we double lock the king 10 suited that he could actually take that middling king x with, which is the main types of hands he should be representing. I get a lot of EV from him not triple bearing ace king when I have a hand like king queen or even king 10 myself. So here I don't mind calling a decent amount of the time. I took too long though. So I don't mind just entering on the side of folding. I think for what it's worth, I think king queen is suited is not as good as king queen of spades here, not just because there's a 7 of spades on the turn, but because we can actually make the nuts with that hand. In general, I'll just be checking back this one and evaluating. I'm trying to think on the turn. I mean here on the river, like what bluffs do we really have? Versus the block bet, I'm gonna go for the raise here. You can find a lot of people here who call some bullshit, but general versus recreational, if they block bet, raise them. You will make more money than if you do anything else. Perceive this guy to be recreational. I could be wrong. I don't know the guy too well, so I'm just gonna perceive him to be recreational. That's just how I operate in a small pool. In a global pool, I don't think you should have that mindset. I think you should kind of approach everyone as a reg and then just feel it. Multiple hands versus them. But yeah, that's my read. I don't mind all in there as well. I think all in actually could perform better. Yeah, that's my thought process. And here I think you want to be aggressive. You have infinite number of bluffs. He's pretty capped. So I don't mind going for the bigger sizing here. Well, I don't mind sizing even a little bit bigger than this. You can basically just take any ace or king x hand. So if he only calls flushes, you're just going to be killing him. I don't think this spot's really bluffed when it's jammed, but I also don't really believe him in the sense that he could have a hand like if he's basically repping 10s when he jams. That's what the computer would be pretty much repping as well. I don't know how much I believe him to check back 10s with the 10 of heart on the flop. I guess it makes actually some sense. You're going to be pretty aggressive as he's like, usually on these paired boards you can just be pretty aggressive when your opponent's mainly likely to have a pocket pair. It is a fish, but yeah, it's kind of a weird node by me, I will say. I think ace of king could probably get away with slow playing, but I don't mind it. Generally on these paired boards, when your opponent's flatting and they're rated to a lot of these middling pocket pairs, you can attack them very wide. Like for example, like 8-8-3 or something like that. They're not gonna have that much 8x. And I would say like the actual person compared to a computer is way more weighted to pocket pairs than a computer is, because people just like to call their pocket pairs and they don't have the discipline to I'll call king queen here. I'll call this 9-8. I mean maybe 9-8 suited they'll find, but they don't have the broadways or something as often as they probably should. So their range just ends up way more diluted to these pocket pairs. All right. $6,000 big blind pot or $6,000 pot. I'm really mad about my ace 8 hand. I would say that's the one that's bugging me from the other video. I don't know if that was this video or the last one. The pocket tens hand, you could get away from folding. You have to be good there 32% of the time there, so I don't mind it. I like tens compared to jacks or queens because you're unblocking the ace jack suited and the ace queen suited bluffs potentially. And he probably has the offsuit versions of those hands versus a fish, where he probably doesn't have the ace 10 off version on average. Not to mention he has less of the other random things like queen jack compared to queen 10 and jack 10. But yeah. And also good suits. We're flooding some ace highs and stuff like that. Probably preferable folds. So. The turn check just seems pretty nitty by him. I guess he was afraid of me having a set, but I just don't really get the logic. I think you just get stacked. Yeah. Queen 8 suited. I guess I did cold call though, so maybe it just has to read. My cold call's highly pocket paired ends. In position here, you could open going to 2.5 because mainly I'm going to focus on me versus the big blind here when I think about the positions. Gonna be getting a 3-bet a little more often than I would be otherwise, but yeah, stand a lot to gain by playing a pot in position versus this guy. I'm gonna be folding though. Versus the queen 8. With the queen 8. Yeah, I mean I do think he's really tight, and that just gives me a really good idea of how to navigate a really deep pot versus him. So it's basically very hard for me to lose. Don't think he's going to be bluffing the spot. Not going to have enough types of hands he would be bluffing with, and so on and so on. But with that being said, I'm recording, and usually when you use that logic, you end up start calling some really dumb hands deeper in position. Yeah, and you can get yourself cooler pretty easily. Probably record for like 5 to 6 more minutes. Maybe hit the 40-minute mark. But then all my videos run for 50 minutes. Actually, you know what? I might end it soon here. Because I forgot I put the studying portion in my video. And I don't know. Let me know what you guys would like to think. If there's any critique about my video, any critique about a hand, be sure to drop it in the comments. Do not worry about offending me, like I said. If I don't have thick enough skin to take it, then I need to get thick enough skin to take it. That's my mindset. So, yeah. I prefer poker-related questions, but I really don't care if you have a personal related one. I really like that you guys just come back and I have someone that something I can post my videos to. I don't mind the overbet here, as I just don't think bettors check too often. We did call a flop bet, so I think we actually do need to size down. In a wider range spot, let's say it was check, 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 then you would need to be overbetting because you have so many more bluffs. Here, naturally the amount of hands I'm bluffing goes down, given that I called the bet on the flop break. I'm gonna have less random 10-4 hearts and bullshit like that. I'm gonna be checking back this one. Whoa. I'm here playing big better check, king of spades. Still want to keep some 8x in there, but I'll go for the check back in general. Easy call here with the 8. It's not easy, but I would say it's a fine call. The issue is his hands that don't have a heart are probably not bluffing. The check is encouraging, but it's just the nuts. I don't like that line from him. I think you just bet again. The odds you're getting bluffed into there are so low. I don't really get the point of trapping when you have the ace of hearts here. You're basically saying that I have some straight draw, like 10-9, then I checked back the flop, and then I called it an overbet without a heart. I think you should almost always be betting there or sizing down. I mean, it's pretty hard for you to miss that card. Let's be real, especially since it is a king. Check back and actually sizes up. I'm going to fold here with the backdoors. You guys might think I'm crazy, but I don't know. Generally folding out of position with a non-main hand, you can't really be overfolding too much. That's why I disagree with the people who say people play worse versus the range bet because they overfold. Generally the hands that people overfold versus a range bet, and let's say a spot versus the big blind, go run those and look how much EV they're really losing by folding those hands. Yeah, you get some added advantage of maybe when they call they're a little stronger, but the next thing you know, people start folding. I know plenty of people who fold way too wide versus the range bet. They're on the other end of the spectrum. It's usually a lot of the regs that actually play that strategy and they think they're gaining an edge because they're like, oh, people don't defend as wide as I do, but they're actually just defending too wide. So it goes both ways. I would say just if you don't actually know the node, you're going to kind of be guessing. A lot of people will tell you, oh, look how much EV, this is actually more profitable, but then you'll watch them break down a hand in poker and they're not as insanely. This hand does 3-bet sometimes. I will say on a 31, I think it's just going to fold. Maybe it's 9-3, 9-4. It's the bottom, actually. I could be wrong with that. They break down a hand, and it's clear that they don't have an insane grasp of the overall game. Yeah, that's my mindset. And I think also if you have a coach or some sort, or you're taking a course of something, and it's not a beginner's course, so don't get me wrong. If it's a micro six course or if it's a middle six course, I don't really mind that they're telling you to simplify because that's kind of their job. They're not supposed to cheat you like your Linus love, but if they're really trying to coach you into becoming like a really, and they're using, and like it's not they're just simplifying some stuff, they're oversimplifying everything. I don't really recommend that because I mean poker is a game where everyone improves. Like look how much better people are. I'm kind of ranting right now. There's not much going on. Better people are now than they were 5 years ago. I mean, if you're playing a strategy and you're like, yeah, it's fine now, you should be preparing to be good so you can be good 5 years from now. If you're really putting a lot of time and effort in, like the people who are desiring to get coaching are. That's just my opinion. I mean, a coach might disagree with me, and I'm more than welcome to be discuss about that as I kind of yapping and I don't fully know what I'm talking about, but I mean, I kind of know what I'm talking about. I'm like to think I'm pretty okay at this game, but that's just my mindset. As I think if people already are telling you to simplify, inherently they're saying they don't believe in you, and at the end of the day, if they don't believe in you, then yeah, they're basically teaching you some gimmicks. Like, yeah, if you listen to X, Y, and Z, you can probably make money, but they might not be actually really helping you become the player you really want to be. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying most poker coaches are bad or all poker coaches are bad. I'm just saying make sure you don't fall in the trap where people are like, it doesn't matter, simplify this, simplify that, and then you find out you're betting 1/3 on almost every texture. And yeah, you can maybe do well doing that for now, but are you really fulfilled doing that when you could just put the effort into actually playing proper? I don't really buy the argument that it gains you more EV. I really don't. It's not that hard to learn to play different strategies. In fact, it's harder to play against too when you do learn them. And the really best players in the world don't actually do that. So that's my opinion. Anyway, enough with my rant. Let's see if we can get a couple more hands here and end the video. I think there should be some good stuff when I look back to review some of these hands. East Deuce is actually going to be the bottom. The King Queen hands obviously strikes out to me. That should be in the review. So if you want to look at my $3,000 punt review, make sure to stay tuned to look at the program that I used to run my hands and stuff. Oh yeah. Really appreciate you guys showing up. I'm gonna be trying to be posting every day at 3 p.m. So if you look 3 p.m., there should be another video out. I'm gonna be slowly increasing the quality of content. It will take longer because my primary thing. I don't make any money or anything from this. I just do this really for fun. I have the affiliate links, which might net me some money, but it's nothing really compared to the amount of money I make from actually just playing the game. It would take a lot of affiliating and stuff and growing this channel to actually even come close for it to be that worth it for me, especially giving away all my information to my opponents and everything. So I really just do this for the fun of it. I mean, obviously, maybe I have goals at some point to super grow my channel, but in the foreseeable future, I'm mainly doing this for you guys and just enjoying posting videos. So yeah, I really do appreciate you guys that come back. I mean, I do it for you guys. I know everyone says that, but yeah. I'm gonna be wrapping up the video soon after this hand. I don't mind the 1/3 here on this board at a high rate. I will say the hand with the 3 doesn't mind betting. I mean, it's kind of like this is almost more like a drawing hand. In the sense of, like, we don't really have showdown because when there's 2 more cards come back, when you actually check back the hand and give them another card, the odds that I actually have a real showdown on the river is not very high. So it performs almost like this middling hand. If it was a higher card, let's say it was bottom pair, but the bottom pair was a 9, then okay, it's realistic I can have showdown value because the runout's going to be good for me. And I don't need to give him a free card because there's going to be so many cards that are under to a 9. So folding out his hand. Gonna be calling here, though. Could do either or. I'm kind of lost in how I ended up in this spot. 3-bet pot, I guess I called. Yeah. Oof. Can do a lot of everything here. Out of position. I'll go with the bet 10. I don't know if it's actually correct. I'm a little rusty in this spot. This spot, I think I just fold. I don't think it's that bluffed. And I don't think the added equity, I think it's going to fake. I think every now and then he's hand like ace jack. Stuff like this. I think my jack isn't clean at all. Yeah. We can all in here. I don't mind it. If he has a hand like one... actually, with the king of clubs, I don't mind. We'll go with the call here, actually. Super deep here, and we flop the nuts. It's kind of sick. I wouldn't mind sizing up here because we're just super deep. The king of hearts is also okay. We block my opponent's ace of clubs. Could do both here. We'll go for the call and hope the run-out kind of breaks out. Oops, we do not get that. The 8-point here is crazy. I don't really know what to do. I think we just call. I don't really know how often River's bluffed is the issue. This is the thing that kind of sucks. We kind of block all these other hands. So unless he's yapping out of his mind, he basically just always has the ace of clubs here. The thing is, how much offsuit ace x of clubs does he have? And there's so many clubs on the board. He has to have like ace 7 of clubs. We're just going to be calling here. I don't think I'm good, but I think we just have to call this one. Yeah. Sometimes people just run good. I don't think he has too many other flushes. We'll just go with this size, yeah. Oh god, that's annoying, man, to end the session. To lose that extra 1k. I just don't, like, it's actually like kind of insane. Like, he just has the offsuit perfect hand, gets the perfect dream run out. I guess we wish we shoved. When he's raising hands like this. Yeah, it's just unfortunate. Here I'm mainly going to be shoving this hand. God, I'm a little annoyed. Less tilted about that one. More tilted about that one. Just kind of lame. This guy just has ace queen off and just plays it like such a nerd. Bets 10%. I don't know. I mean, it's probably okay to do weird stuff like that. It's just so face up. If I didn't have, honestly, if the river is not the 9 of clubs, I might even call him. I just don't think he has bluffs here. I don't really believe him. I'm recording. I think if it wasn't, I might consider folding a hand like this. It's just people are not usually bluffing the spot. He basically has to have a whale air, and this guy has he just seems very nitty. Feel bad saying that on a recording, but I mean, I've played 2 videos now versus the guy. I mean, how many? He just kind of play like he's been the way he has his value. He plays it very passively. He doesn't expect to get called. I don't know. It's like I would never play my value that way because I know people have to call me, and if they don't, they're losing. Anyway, I digress. I don't mean to talk bad about my opponent. I mean, I don't think he played the hand particularly that bad versus population, or especially. I just wish I could have folded the river or shove flop. I don't mind shoving flop there, actually. I think people usually have to have equity and they don't whale out too hard. I think I was thinking too literal of a sense. I think actually in practice, the fold, I meant the aggressive action on the flop probably performs pretty well. Overbet here seems like it's pretty good. So I'm going to go for it. 3-5 here deeper actually does call at a frequency. So for the video, we will call. And we'll lose. Huh. He finds the check here. This is a good card for us. I think we're going to just bet this hard. And I mean, we have no added equity, but I don't think he really has any folds, though. I'll check. I don't mind bluffing a hand like this, because if he ever calls a hand like with an ace, we still have some actual added equity of hitting trips and stuff like this. Also, not to mention, we just block all the bullshit out of our way. I think here, when he just plays this line like this, we can go for an overbet. He obviously has some offsuit ace-x that he could call us with, which is kind of unfortunate, but I'm gonna go for the overbet when you have the really small hand. We really unblock a lot of these random bullshit hands. Usually the lower cards you want to have. I don't actually know the exact reason why. I know on some run it's why. I don't know exactly particularly that reason why, but I don't mind. We have no showdown. I think the line's overfolded, and I think we can easily have a good amount of value as played. King 9 here I'll call, and I do actually have to end the video, but I feel like I'm always just constantly in a hand. So this video will run long. It might even be over an hour. We'll see how many hands I have to review. I'll probably go over some of them. Maybe the pocket king's hand blind versus blind 4-bet. Feels like the issue is if I'm always running hands where there's stacks involved, I'm only going to be running big 4-bet pots. Let me know what you guys would like to see. Yeah, because I'm only kind of guessing, and sometimes some videos it's not too obvious what to review. Here in reopen, gonna go for the bigger size. I don't think we need to go for the overbet. I'm mainly gonna be folding here. I'm going to close my tables so I'm not too in. I'm kind of down to just study for the rest of the day and edit these videos. Anyway, all my hands are done. Alright, thank you everyone for watching, and stay tuned for the studying portion of this video that's coming next. We'll go over a lot of the hands that I got stacked on today. And yeah, thank you everyone for watching, and I'm out. Bye. Alright, starting here with this video. My opponent had a leading range on this board. I took it out because I think most people don't play it. If you actually look at this, when you take out your opponent's leading range, you're actually supposed to be really passive on the spot. I think it's deeper in the spot. We're supposed to not have 9s and 8s. In practice, I would have this more than this. I usually do play too big of a 3-betting range. And apparently I'm supposed to be like over flatting king queen suited, so I basically like never have it as well. So overall, it's just a very weird hand to adjust for because I think I'm just drastically misplaying the spot. I think in general this would be more interesting to get myself a 100 big blind 3-betting range and then also playing 150 big blinds deep. Yeah, but in anyway, in general, king queen's still mainly going to be going for this attack. Opponent's supposed to be raising, he does not find the raise. In general, he could actually lead a lot on this card. I guess it's just the jack's a great card for him, which makes sense. He's going to have a lot of these hands like pocket jacks. He's going to have probably more queen 10 suited than I'm supposed to have. Here I will say, you actually prefer a b33 sizing on this board, but I just no luck to b75 or check because that's what I was playing in practice. And I was right here in the sense of like you're betting everything but king queen of hearts. Generally, you just want to be a little bit careful playing a big pot without the ace of hearts. In spots where your opponent can have it a lot, as you're just kind of cooling yourself in the at the end of the day. I was wrong in the sense that the highest, oh actually it's not the highest equity, it just prefers to bet more often with the clubs, I guess, blocking some of these jacks. But the EV is actually not higher of the hand, which is something interesting to pay attention to. Yeah, but when we get to the river and it breaks out, the hands that we decide to bet on the turn are almost always, it's hard to even have enough value to bet the river. The reason you would fall into this trap of where you have to be a little cautious is if you're just drastically overbluffing the turn, then you actually probably have to have a little bit more gives ups on the river. But in general, I would say the spot is a little overfolded, and well, I'd have to look at what he's supposed to call with. And in practice, obviously my opponent's hand's a pure call. I'm blocking almost all my bluffs and stuff like this. He doesn't really have queen jack of spades as often and stuff like this as well. But yeah, apparently he's supposed to call some ace queen of hearts and stuff, which is just never happening. He's supposed to have these hands, which I don't think he has too often. He's supposed to pure call 10-9, which I also just don't think is really happening. Yeah, he's supposed to have some pocket threes here. I really don't think he's calling these types of hands, so it really just came down to this type of hand, which is why I really like to follow through on the river with this type of hand. So I do think it's, I found it kind of cool that you're actually supposed to be playing a lot of a b33 range on this turn. And yeah, I guess it's just a preferred type of bet for what you're actually attacking from your opponent. And apparently the card is just such a good advantage for your opponent that you just need to be a little cautious with it. And obviously checking back a lot on this river with these middling hands, but it looks like anything better than that is good enough to just go crazy with. And king queen would have got in that range here. As you see, the jam here would have been making a lot of money. And I'm curious if I actually found let's say I found the correct line. In theory, my opponent would still be calling his type of hand. But yeah, I just thought it was kind of neat that you were sizing down to b33 here. I think it's just harder to play against because you don't give your opponent as appealing of a shove than if you go b75. The types of hands he has, obviously, more appealing to shove. You put him in a little bit tougher of a situation, I think, with most of his hands. As you can see here, he's folding 24% of the time. He's folding 43, but I imagine all of the hands he starts folding are mainly the mixes he had to begin with. And I think when you size to the strategy, he's going to be mixing a little more hands. And you get a little more value. Anyway, I just thought it was interesting. And you're still going gigapolar on the river. But yeah, just thought I'd add that. Alright, on to the mono texture. Ace King 9. All mono, this is the hand where I had 5-3 suited. If you look here, your opponent's supposed to be c-betting a really high rate. I'm going to not change anything. I could probably adjust this and give him another checking range, but I don't really want to no luck. Because at the end of the day, if you no luck and you give them exactly what you think they'll have, at the end of the day, you can probably almost get the sim to always give you the result you want. So I think there's a balance of, usually when I study, I try not to no luck too much. I like to play around with things because I am curious though. Anyway, I'm going to be reopening here, just like reopening 5-3 suited, I think. This probably has some stuff to do with the checking range. I'm sure like the EV across all these hands, it's not too different. Actually, 5-3 is like a little bit better. I guess you just unblock a little more folds. But I don't think it's probably relevant to like some of these pocket pairs and stuff, but yeah. Anyway, I'm onto the turn here. He's supposed to be betting a lot of his one ace-x for a small size here. Insane practice isn't happening. Most people prefer the check. So yeah. Here, I gave myself a 50% sizing, even though in game I played 33. It's splitting between the two. It's value betting some ace-x and stuff like this. Due to I think your opponent's supposed to being really capped. When I ran the hand the other way for what it's worth, I'll run it in the non-AI sim. On the river, my hand is mixing here. I think just in general though, on this turn here, you see how the lower hands are betting. It's interesting 8-6 and stuff. I guess it just prefers to bet river. Usually when you have these the lower suited hands, the more you want to be bluffing with them. As you can see, like the queen jack and stuff like this is not really being too aggressive. I guess it really likes jack 10 because I think in the small ones range you see he's gonna have a lot of jacks and 10s, and they don't put him too much on queens. I guess queens plays differently. And on the river playing 175 or 75 and 5-3 looks like it's a pretty good bluffing hand. Obviously, I actually don't mind the all-in this line. As most people don't trap and most people don't call versus the all-in when they don't. And anyway, let's run this hand a little bit in just the normal way without the AI sim a little fast. As you can see, I'll show the pre-flop 5-3 suited, opening half the time. And when you get 3-bet for this size, he went to 10 big blinds in game. It's mixing calls, so he says a little down. Not to mention, I kind of wanted to just defend it for the video. Spot comes up pretty infrequently, so you can pick. You see here he's playing a number of different sizings when you don't use the AI sim, which is fine. I'll give him the check. The checking range goes up, which is good because you're including a bigger size. And generally, if you have a bigger size in your range, you're gonna actually have to start playing checks. If you're playing just B20, then you can see you can actually just prioritize this most. It's almost every hand here mixes some B20, but you'll see not every hand here includes like a large percentage of a B50 bet. So if you're playing just B20, you can get away with betting a lot more often. You don't really need to defend your checking range. Anyway, here we're reopening kind of polarized. I mean, you can play a lot of B33 and stuff, but more importantly, when the line goes check check and the 3 comes off, when he checks, the 3 is definitely a little bit more preferred of a betting, because it adds just a little bit of extra equity to your hand when you do bluff, and it also bluffs some of your opponent's best bluff catchers with ace 3, because since the board's all mono, if you have a 3, you're naturally just going to be blocking a suited combo of a hand, right? Like every single version of ace 3 is live here, because the board's all mono. Generally, I would say like for some reason the bottom pair is usually just preferred as a bluffing candidate. But anyway, we'll give myself the 33% sizing here for the sake of the video. He calls. He still has a number of these ace-x hands. And then the river was a 4 of hearts, I believe. He checks, not playing any leads on such a brick. And then, yeah, you see splitting between all of these sizings here, but almost never checking back the 5-3. The bluff does make a little bit of money. Yeah, what did I find in game? I think I found like 125. We'll look at this and look at what your opponent's actually supposed to be calling. I'd say in practice, they're just very rarely ever calling these hands. Yeah, that's kind of, I would say the spot is, and it's also usually not too profitable to call. I'd say when you go with the bigger sides, though, people do tend to actually maybe have bluffs in the spot. But the thing about the bigger sides is if they ever stop bluffing you altogether and they just always have value there, you can quickly be paying them off very fast. So that's kind of one of the things with a bigger size. I think most people are willing to get exploited and overfold usually versus it, but yeah, I would say also that's the one advantage from actually playing poker correctly is a lot of people say, oh, like this doesn't matter, or they try and get too exploitative. But when you actually really understand the line, you can turn the how do I say this? You can adjust accordingly because they don't understand the theory. So they're like, oh, if this guy overbets, he has a lot of bluffs. So then they start calling too much, and then you're like, oh, he's calling too much. I'm gonna bluff less. And because you understand the node, you know what bluffing less looks like. They don't know what bluffing less looks like. They have no idea what they're doing in a spot. And usually over the course of a long run versus the regs, when you actually know what you're doing in a spot, and let's say you know how you're supposed to bet 300% on a certain river, and you know they're giga overfolding versus it, or they're giga overcalling versus it, vice versa, you can actually make a lot of money because they're very rarely going to be hitting the equilibrium to a. Yeah, I'd say a good thing about poker, the more you learn about theory and the more you understand the game. Yeah, I'm kind of ranting off topic here. The more you understand actually what your opponents are doing is better as a form of just exploiting in general. Anyway, on to the last hand of the video. It should be the, I forget, but yeah, stay tuned. All right, onto the last hand of the day. As you can see here, this is the hand I have pocket kings on the mono board in the 4-bet pot. As you can see here, mainly just range betting flop. On these jack high textures, you're just gonna have a lot more of the higher clubs hands. Ranges are wide, and you just do have a significant advantage on the jack X. As you can see, your opponent's not really supposed to be raising at all. And when he does raise, you're actually just supposed to not really play too many calls. Especially with my hand, you're supposed to be getting it in. Yeah, that's what I thought in game, and I leveled myself too much, and I think I should just stick with more of what I think is theoretically correct, because then you end up just giga leveling yourself. So yeah, I think I should have just found the jam there. I would have played a lot smoother. Um, yeah, because being out of position on a board like this, it's just a little weird to navigate it. I just push my equity. Anyway, onto the turn here. We're supposed to be leading almost pure because this card is better for us. I was kind of right in game where I assumed that he just didn't miss this card at all though. Like, it's kind of giving him a weird raising range, so I think like the sim's kind of tough to run here. I give him the 5% spot because in the flip pot I include 5%. And it prefers 5 over 10, I guess, but something to note. Not really raising on the river. I'm supposed to be donk shoving pure because I'm just supposed to have all the higher hands. If you take out the donks and we check, and he goes all in, you're still calling our hand of pocket kings. Even without the club, I guess it's a good hand to block the chop. These are one spots I would say exploitatively, like you really don't need to play them like a computer. I think you should learn how to play them like the computer because I think you'll gain a lot of EV playing that way yourself. I think you'll play aggressive enough, properly enough. But I think in general, people are a little too nitty on these boards. They literally just give up unless they have the absolute nuttiest hand. It's so hard to find bluffs. They don't know what hands they're supposed to be bluffing. I think there's a lot of EV to be gained here. In general, I would say if we could look at the spot without a raising range on the flop for my opponent. If you guys are curious how it would have played out if he just had his ace queen off and didn't raise the flop. Very high, just attacking again on a very high frequency. Can play a lot of 5%. I actually like the 5% size because I think it's kind of cool. 9 of clubs. Is opponent playing any raises on this turn? Not really. Just kind of merge. And it's kind of weird. I guess you're just doing this to get value from. If this is your only range, you're basically saying that I'm gonna get called by worse than a club, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, and then on the river, you're just jamming range here. So this is a board where you're just attacking very aggressively on these lower things. I think like if you were to go to Wizard and look at the reports filter, because I'll just put you guys on a little more game. I should be getting an affiliate for the software soon. So if you guys are interested in purchasing it, you can wait till I get my 10%. I can save you guys 10% on it. I contacted them and I think I'm going to get it soon. This is like basically the program I use the most for studying poker. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, you can click the reports filter here. You can just look at all the boards on the certain flop sizing. And if you see here the boards you can sort for, okay, what boards do I check the most? It's going to be like a board like 10-9-8, I imagine. 8-7-6 is the board you check the most. And then if you were to sort, let's sort from monotone, and let's see the boards we're receiving the highest and boards we're checking the most, just for fun. And through pots for you guys. It's gonna just only be hearts, but obviously nothing really matters. So you see the jack high, the king high, the lower boards. But if we were to put an ace out here, you would see some boards with a very high checking frequency, obviously, and almost no big sizings. Obviously, when you have a little bit of the broadways, you can bet worse than a pair. But basically, when you run out of the advantage, you're gonna be checking a pretty high frequency. But yeah, anyway, I'm kind of rambling right now, but anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I lost a good amount in these last two videos, so appreciate if you hit the like and subscribe. It doesn't, you guys do that at a pretty good rate. I'm pretty impressed by how cool you guys are, honestly, coming back every video. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.